And welcome back to yet another Buffalo Bills pregame. I'm Randy. We have Jared, Sean, and Dan with us here today, reviewing what ended up being the greatest Buffalo Bills season of our adult lives. So, as disappointing as we may have been in the outcome of the AFC conference game, at the very least, we can say that we had a great ride up to that point. Talking to y'all before the show, I think Sean's the most fired up. So, we'll start with you. Sean, your knee jerk reaction to the AFC Championship game.
So I've just been used to losing my whole adult life and childhood. So I mean, this game was. I expected him to get to this game. I expected him, possibly win it, possibly lose it. So it was everything I expected, and more. Really, I mean, how can you not love Josh and his progression this year? After all the haters, after all the doubters, he came through, and he definitely, hopefully, is gonna continue all this. So, I mean, I don't think you can ask for anything more. So with all the Buffalo sports, crap that's gone on all these years, like, how can you not be excited about this? So.
All right, Dan, we'll go to you next. AFC Championship game. What are your thoughts?
So, it's hard not to be disappointed when you get this far. When you get to this point, it's like anything short of Super Bowl is going to feel terrible. But, at the same time, kind of like Sean said, I've never seen anything like this. My first year watching the Bills make the playoffs, that was kind of, we just backed in. And we were just happy to be there. Last year, that was a soul-crushing loss. That was just so disappointing. We just wanted to win a playoff game, and we got that done this year. I think the week following the loss last year to the Texans, I was much more devastated than this week so far, just because, we've done so many great things this season. It's hard to be, it's hard to be angry and bitter, because we just have such a bright future, and this really should only be the beginning. And I think not like this factors into it, but Jim Kelly lost it, and the Bills lost in the AFC Championship the year before they went to 4 Super Bowls in a row. So I think the future is just so bright for the Bills, and I'm excited for it.
All right, Jared, we'll turn to you. Any review of the game?
Oh man, I guess I'm probably more disappointed than excited about how far we were able to get. And I don't know why. I can't really tell you guys. I can't really put my finger on it. I think honestly, as crazy as this might sound, I think it's just more so the world around us than really what's been going on with the Bills. Because about a week ago, I really started to believe that the Bills were going to really win the Super Bowl. I really had that in my mind, and my excitement level was probably at like a 7 out of 10, which was interesting. And I realized it was because of just COVID, to be honest. Because I've watched every single game this year alone. Like I haven't gone any games. I haven't watched it with people. So it's been a very unique year for me. And I kept thinking oh, that's going to be the catch, isn't it? The Bills win the Super Bowl, but it's the catch is that there was this pandemic the whole time, and we weren't able to do nearly as much as we would normally do as Bills fans to celebrate the experiences. So I think there was just a part of me that was never going to be excited as I thought I was going to be. But obviously during the game, I'm like, I want to win this game, obviously. But I will say, and I don't know, and I think this is similar to what Dan was talking about, last year with the Texans game. Oh yeah, I was furious when we lost that Texans game. But I was not furious when we lost the Chiefs game. And I think the primary difference is the Chiefs were the better team. I mean, there's no denying that. We made some questionable decisions with field goals versus touchdowns. But I mean, the defense didn't do as good as they could have done. Yes, they were going to score a bunch on us, but there was a few times where it's okay, can you try to cover Travis Kelce a little bit? That would be nice. So, and you know what? The refs didn't blow it for us. There wasn't some one play or one ref call that we're all talking about. There's no Music City Miracle. So I'm grateful for all that. and I'm sadly going to be rooting for the Chiefs in 2 weeks because I can't stand Tom Brady. Can't do it.
I think a lot of Bills fans find themselves rooting for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl just to avoid watching Tom Brady raise that trophy one more time. I was disappointed that the game wasn't closer. You know, it was only a 3-point spread for the defending champions at home, and I felt like, well, that means it's a pretty even game. And outside of the first half of the first quarter, it just didn't feel like we were really in competition whatsoever. It would have been interesting to see if the refereeing crews had been switched. It seems like in the NFC conference game, pass interference was not a thing, at least until it mattered for Tom Brady. And if I don't know, if Trey White had been able, I don't know, if the defense had been able to operate in the way that the teams in the other conference game were able to, maybe it made a difference. Who knows? But you know, we're just splitting hairs at this point. Jared's right; they were the better team. But when you look at the full season, you still can't be disappointed. Off the top of my head, I know that I predicted more wins than you, but you picked what, 3 or 4 wins, Jared, for the beginning of the season?
I predicted a 7-9 season. I predicted that we would have won the first 3 games, though I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Yeah, there were a ton of teams I didn't think we were going to beat. I didn't think we were going to beat the Steelers. I didn't think we were going to sweep the Patriots. I didn't think we'd beat the Seahawks. And I don't know if that adds up to 13 or not. Probably not. But, I didn't expect us sweeping the division. We went 6-0. We didn't even do that during the Super Bowl era. Like when we went to the Super Bowl, I mean. So there was so many things that happened this year that, you know, you couldn't really predict at the beginning of the season. And yeah, if those things are worth celebrating. Absolutely.
Dan, any highlights from the season for you? Like, what will you remember when you look back on the 2020 season?
You know, it was weird just because I think it was the 400-yard passing game that Josh Allen had. I think it was like week 3 or week 4 against the Dolphins, you know, where it was just before Josh Allen threw for 300 yards. I don't know if he threw for 300 yards last year. Stop me if I'm wrong, but I think he had a 300-yard game this year. And it was weird because, you know, the Bills hadn't had a 300-yard passer in a regulation game. Tyrod Taylor threw for over 300 yards in in a game with overtime. I think it was in 2016. Before then, without overtime, the last time a Bills quarterback threw for 300 yards, it was like Kyle Orton or something like that, way, you know, a while ago. And it seems like every game this year, Josh Allen was throwing for 300 yards. He was easily putting up multiple 400-yard passing games. And that had been a long time since that had happened for.
Oh no. Come back. Come back.
They were going to win, which is, you know, it is really unique. And I think it's going to go into that next year. I feel like in the beginning of the year, it was more, okay, you know, we should, but we don't know how New England's going to be. You know, we can't say we're going to win the division with New England still there. But now going into next year, we need to win the division. Like, there's no questions asked. And overall, you know, it was just, I mean, to kind of reiterate what Jared said about the fans, that definitely is disappointing. You know, I had that thought process the whole season, like, wow, the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, and it's going to be the COVID year, and it's like the Bills fans aren't going to get the celebration that they deserve.
Yeah.
But I guess that can be the silver lining there, and the Bills not making the playoffs.
And I kept on going back and forth on that, Dan. Like when we lost to the Titans and the Chiefs, I was like, oh, I can't believe I was just thinking about like it being the COVID years. Let's win some games. And then after we started winning some more games, I was like, all right, it's COVID. You know what I mean? I kept going back and forth with the negativity.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, hopefully starting next season, we can have some fans back in the stadium and somewhat of a return of normalcy. But, you either way, it was such that Ravens game. That was such an awesome game. With that pick six, I think that just the city of Buffalo needed that. I think that was awesome. And there's no doubt in my mind, if we play how we played this year, at the very least, we'll be back in the AFC Championship game, probably against the Chiefs.
Sean, how about you? Anything stick out in memories from this season?
Saw freaking Stefon Diggs and Cole Beasley and Gabe Davis just tore it up. They're untouchable. I mean, there were games where you'd have these trash-talking cornerbacks, and they're saying this, they're saying that, and they don't even care. They're just walking around them like it's nothing. Like, can't press coverage, like all this stuff. And, like, you see Brady do that to people, but, like, you don't think of a Bills quarterback being able to do that type of stuff. I mean, the Bills had no run game all year. And so it was all on Josh Allen. Defense is just going all out to stop him, and they couldn't. They couldn't stop him because their receivers were so dominant. Because they're obviously the tight end wasn't good, and the running backs weren't good. So it was just amazing how to see a quarterback, because you watch Peyton Manning, you watch Tom Brady, you watch these quarterbacks just, they're looking at the line of scrimmage and they're just like, I see that. Okay, here, I'm gonna throw it there. Like, that was the easiest completion. Like, Josh did that all year. He did it against top 10 defenses, all the top defenses all year. He was putting up 300 plus yards. You think he had 8 300-yard games plus games? Like, that's insane. Like, Miami Dolphins were like the number one defense going in that game, tears them apart. Like, you just don't see that from a Bills team ever, and it was super impressive.
One thing I did want to mention, not to be the negative Nancy out of the group, but the identity of the Sean McDermott Bills team seemed to change quite a bit this year, not having a lockdown defense. That up to this point, you could always count on the defense getting off the field on 3rd and long situations. And maybe it's just something to do with the crowd not being there. Maybe a better communication by the offense, being able to talk to one another and not worry about interference from the crowd. Maybe there's other factors that we're not taking into account, but I don't think the one thing that none of us saw coming into the season was the drop-off coming from the defense. That being said, they did improve as the season went on, but at no point did they achieve their former glory. So as much attention has been put on getting Josh Allen playmakers in this past couple of years in the offseason, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the pendulum swings back the other way with a little more focus on acquiring some defensive talent. Jared, I know that you know a bit about the players that are going up for contract in the next couple of years. Where do you see the free agency going and the offseason for the Bills?
Well, first we got to look at our own free agents and see who we need to keep and who we're okay with getting rid of. I just want to quickly jump back to your point about the defense. I hated and this might be one man's opinion, I did not like the change to 4-2-5. It works sometimes. I like seeing Taron Johnson out there. But I just didn't like having 3 linebackers. I think that was part of the problem in terms of the defense and all. That's my theory. I don't know if anybody agrees with me or not, but that's just my 2 cents there. I'm going to just read off the list of our unrestricted free agents. I know this is very unprofessional, but it's just easier if I do it this way. Here are our unrestricted free agents going into the offseason. Trent Murphy, Josh Norman, Ty Nsekhe, Tyler Kroft, John Feliciano, Brian Winters, Daryl Williams, Matt Barkley, Taiwan Jones, TJ Yeldon, Andre Roberts, Dean Marlowe, Isaiah McKenzie, Jordan Dewey, Andre Smith, Levi Wallace, Matt Milano, and Ike Boettger, and our punter. So now that read from most expensive down, which tells you a couple things. A, like, Levi Wallace is making like no money. Like, he needs to get paid. Same thing with Matt Milano. He needs to get paid. Trent Murphy's gone. Josh Norman's gone. Ty Nsekhe's gone. I think that's fine.
Now you're confident. You confidently think Josh Norman is gone? I thought he
did nothing this year, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think he's a good guy to have as a veteran and as a depth player at the very least.
Okay. I would just say I would focus on just keeping our starters. Like that's to me that's the priority, which in this case is Feliciano. Let's see. Or McKenzie. I'm sorry, McKenzie. I would like to keep McKenzie, even though maybe I'm just dreaming. Wallace.
Yeah, I think you definitely need McKenzie back.
Wallace, Milano, and if we can, Milano might be the one that gets away. I wouldn't be surprised. And our punter. I like our punter.
Yeah, I think they'll get Bojorquez back.
What does everybody else think? Just based on what I said.
Oh, we'll go to Dan next. Keep them all Dan.
Yeah, so I think Isaiah McKenzie, I think he's a great guy to have just for, I don't want to call him a poor man's Tyreek Hill, because I feel like that, I don't know if he's that comparable to Tyreek Hill, but, he's that guy where you can get him on the jet sweep. Every once in a while when the defense gets complacent, you throw 19 out there, it just changes their game plan. You see him jogging across the line of scrimmage before the snap, you don't know what's going to happen. I think Isaiah McKenzie is an important part of that offense. Matt Milano, definitely. I think Matt Milano he's going to want a lot of money, rightfully so. I feel like the defense was much better with Milano out there. And then Levi Wallace, I think obviously, he's going to come above Josh Norman for multiple reasons. I think he played better and he's going to be cheaper to sign anyways. I think out of those guys, Barkley, I don't know what his future holds. I mean, unless the Bills go out and get another backup, he might be back. Who knows? Unless they have faith in Jake Fromm. But you do want to keep that in consideration that if you don't sign Barkley, we're going to have to look for another quarterback. Unless, like I said, you have trust in Jake Fromm.
Sean, anyone from our free agent list that you see as a must sign, or who do you don't mind missing?
I think you got to sign Milano. I think, all right, so if you look at the league, Brandon Beane's got like a $15 to $20 million window. He does that every single year. He talks about it, having it for injuries, having it for whatever free agents, So, other teams were up against it, and the cap's going to drop $30 million. So I think you're going to see, if you can't sign Milano, I think you're going to be able to find a free agent that's good. But there's teams that are not going to be able to sign players that they want to sign. There's going to be a lot more free agents out there than we really actually think. They're going to be like, nah, I want to go to somewhere I can win. That's Buffalo. That's wherever, you know what I mean? You got Tom Brady possibly retiring. You got, there's all these other quarterbacks who are older, Roethlisberger. You don't know what's going on with Rodgers. You don't know who's going to be good next year. Buffalo's the up and up, man. They've got a super young team. We're an attractive place for free agents. Brandon Beane has done an amazing job of backloading these contracts. Trey White doesn't get paid for another 2 or 3 years. You put Josh on an extension, put his money on the back end of it. I mean, you don't have to pay him for another 3 or 4 years. I mean, he's a wizard with this stuff. So, I mean, I think you're going to be able to sign most of your players, and then get your veterans to maybe go to camp. Maybe someone outplays them. I mean, Fromm wants to outplay Barkley. I mean, Barkley's, I guess, a big glue guy in the locker room. But, Norman, I didn't think play. I think you need a number 2 cornerback 100%. You can't have Josh Norman being your number 1 cornerback when someone goes down. So I think Norman's gone. I really want to see them sign Milano. Boettger and John Feliciano, those guys are getting resigned absolutely. I think this team, the one thing about them is they love their lines, right? They need them. And then I totally agree. You need an amazing offensive line to support your quarterback. You need to get your quarterback more weapons, in my opinion. You need a faster running back. But then, yeah, I kind of agree. I forgot who said it, but with the defensive line, I 100% think they're going to go after that in the draft. I think they should get a quarterback and then some defensive line stuff. Maybe another linebacker. I mean, who's 57? I forget. He played from the Steelers. He's from the Steelers. Comes over, has a couple of good games. I think he was player of the week one week.
Klein. AJ Klein.
Yeah, AJ Klein. Is he a quality linebacker if you're going to have to change things and to cover in zone for faster teams like Chiefs? So I think you have to take that into account. I remember Brandon Beane last year against the Texans. he's like, well, we learned a lot. We learned we needed to score more points. Well, guess what? They scored more points than almost any team in the league this year. So you did that. So now your next goal is, I learned. What am I going to learn from this playoff game? Hey, I need faster players. I need more dynamic players. As good as we were last year, our whole receiving core is a bit older. They're a little banged up. All of them were pretty much injured. And so was everyone else. But, I think you need more quality players. You look at the Chiefs, they go out, they get Mecole Hardman from the Jets or whatever, whoever drafted it. I'm wrong with that. I forget. But they're getting weapons outside of weapons. Like, just get another weapon. Like, you need something more than Dawson Knox, who drops the ball all the time. Like, yeah, he's fun to watch when he runs someone over, but, like, he drops the ball way too much. Like, you saw him sit Singletary, he's dropping the ball. Like, you need a running back. You need a tight end. You need a second cornerback. Like, yeah, that's what I want. There you go.
We need help. We need so much help.
I mean, how good you were good. You were amazing this year, and you still need to get better.
We need more help this year than last year somehow. It's crazy.
Jared, Sean touched on it. What are our need positions going into the offseason? Free agency first, and then we'll have a draft preview before then. So.
Right. I mean, for need positions, I don't know. I still think we got to figure out who's starting at left guard. I like all the other linemen. Like, I think that's a priority. Keep those guys. Daryl Williams, Dion, Dawkins, Mitch Morse. I mean, I know those two are already signed. John Feliciano, Daryl Williams was great. Tight end I agree. Let's look at the tight end position, see if we can improve. Running back, we need a running game. Holy crap. I mean, I think who can disagree with that? I want to go back to the 4-3, so I would like to get a linebacker who can get us back to the 4-3. I don't mind mixing it up with a nickel, but let's try to see if we can get some more strength there. I think that'll help. And then obviously Levi Wallace, who knows what he's going to do? He is an unrestricted free agent. We can't sign everybody. Yes, I would love to sign Milano. I would love to sign Levi Wallace, but these guys are starters. They're making $500,000 a year. They're going to want money. We got to sign Josh Allen. Someone's going to get cut. I don't know who. We got to get rid of the people we're not using, who's making a lot of money, like I mentioned before. So to kind of go back to what Sean was saying, yeah, it's funny, like how much we really need strength everywhere on defense, quite honestly. And as for offense, yeah, like running back and tight end. So basically right now, I mean, who would have ever thought we would have been saying this? The quarterback position, safe. Wide receiver, safe. Kicker, safe. Punter, we still got to sign him. Everything else, have at it.
Dan, anything you want to add?
So, I think something that Bills fans have to keep in mind is that, we do have to pay Josh Allen. That's going to be a huge contract. And that's going to tighten up the cap space. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I definitely think we could use some more depth in the secondary. We definitely need a number 2 cornerback. And something to keep in mind, I don't know, after next year, I don't know if it's both of them. I know either Micah Hyde or Jordan Poyer, the contract is up, and I have a feeling they're not going to re-sign both of them. I know Micah Hyde's getting up there in age. He's been great, but that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know how well Jaquan Johnson's been developing. He's been well on special teams. I think they could definitely use a pass rusher as well. I'm not ready. I think a lot of Bills fans have been rightfully hard on Dawson Knox. I think he's dropped a lot of balls, but I'm not ready to give up on him yet. I think he does have potential to be really good. I think he just needs. He's not a true number 1 tight end yet. They need another guy. So I don't know if they're going to re-sign Croft, or if that's somewhere they should look in the drafts, or I think tight end is something you do need to address. But I still do like Dawson Knox. I think he definitely still has something to offer. And then in terms of a running back, I think every Bills fan know that the running game was severely lacking, especially in the postseason. So I think that's going to be something they're going to look for in the draft. I don't know if they're going to go in the first round with a running back, but it definitely needs to be addressed somewhere.
Dan, we'll stick with you for the last question. Any closing thoughts in the 2020 season?
It was really fun. This is just, you can't ask for better besides the Super Bowl win. I don't know what the situation, if the Bills would have won and then it would have been Bills versus Tom Brady, it would either have been, I mean, no sense in digging too deep into hypotheticals, but it would either have been we win and we finally conquer our demons and all the torturing and suffering that he caused us the last 20 years, that could all be abolished, that it wouldn't matter if we would have beat him in the Super Bowl. Or we lose to him and then our souls are forever crushed by Tom Brady and Buffalo would be severely in pain for that to happen. But anyway, I got a great feeling about next year. I'm not, like I said, I'm not nearly as upset as I was after last year when we lost in the playoffs. I think the Bills have a great future and they accomplished a lot of great things this year.
Sean,
one more thing, sorry. I'm excited to be hopefully back in the stands next year, banging on those bleachers. All right, that's all I got.
I haven't
1
been
minute
there
or
in
less, guys. We got 1 minute left.
All right, Sean, 1 minute or half of 1 minute.
I'm pretty torn in the Super Bowl. I have been watching some social media, and Patrick Mahomes' family and all them have been pretty cocky about the way they talk about Bills fans and all that stuff. I think it is pretty cool historically to see one of the best players of all time beat Michael Jordan in all-time championships. So I'm really freaking torn here because also EFC, rooting interest. I think I root for Tom Brady to win it.
All right, Jared.
As much as I hate him.
Well, no more Christmas cards for Sean. Well, I would just say that this was an amazing season despite my extreme negativity at the beginning of this video. I love the Bills so much. You guys know that. You have no idea how happy I am they got this far. We'll see what they end up doing. I'm looking forward so much to going back to these games and celebrating with the people I know. And that's basically where it is. 5 seconds left.
All right, one reason to root for the Chiefs. Bills open the NFL season next year against the Chiefs, maybe. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Oh,
wow. Thanks.